the weather forecast with C3 Production.
Happy start of the weekend, beautiful people. It's good to have you for this brand new edition of the weather forecast. Light to heavy rainfall is likely to persist in some localities of the east, the Adamawa, the center, the south, the littoral, the northwest, and the southwest region of the country. Will have a minimum temperature of 16 degrees, that is in the Adamawa region, and a maximum temperature of 27 degrees expected in the north and the far north region, and 25 degrees expected in the west, the littoral, and the south region. For details, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the east region, where showers are expected with thunderstorm in the whole region. As you can see, the same weather condition is likely to persist until the morning. I advise you to always have your umbrellas whenever you go out. Next, let's go to the center region, where showers are expected in the whole region. As you can see, with thunderstorm, I advise you to always unplug your electrical appliances whenever you go out due to thunderstorm. Let's go now to the southwest region, where showers are expected in the whole region with thunderstorm. The same weather condition is likely to prevail until the morning, except in Malfe and Mundemba. Ladies and gentlemen, with such weather condition, I advise you to always keep your groundnut very well on the ground. Have a good day. God bless you.
That was the weather forecast with C3 Production.
Coming up tonight, the first ordinary sessions of the Senate and the National Assembly for 2021 have ended with lawmakers rejecting irrational international reports on the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions. A pontifical high mass with the ordination of priests has highlighted the 50th anniversary of Christian missionaries in Cameroon. Minister Paul Atanganji represented President Paul Biya. And Professor Gervais Mendoze, a one-time minister delegate to the Minister of Communication and former Director General of Cameroon's public broadcaster, CRTV, is dead. Details right now. Thanks for watching the 7:30 news on CRTV. I am MOKI, Edwin KINDZEKA in Yaoundé.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
The first ordinary session of the Senate for the 2021 legislative year has ended with the award of medals of different grades to some 13 senators. The medals were handed over to the recipients shortly after the closing plenary, during which Senate President Marcel Nyat Njifenji praised senators for adopting 9 bills within a short period of time. Senate correspondent Charles Anyangwe has the rest of that story.
It was a brief closing plenary during which Senate President Marcel Nyat Njifenji expressed his gratitude to senators for the great work done in adopting 9 bills in record time shortly after the election of the Permanent Bureau of the Upper House of Parliament.
We renewed the Bureau and we got, let's say, 9 bills to ratify, and we did it.
In total, 9 bills were deliberated upon, and very positively too, because all were voted into law.
The bills adopted, according to Senate President, falls within the domain of diplomacy and bilateral cooperation between Cameroon and several states. President Nyat reiterated the fact that the COVID-19 pandemic is on the rise and urged senators to sensitize their population to respect barrier measures as they go back to their respective constituencies. After the closing plenary, a separate ceremony was organized in the main hall of the Yaoundé Conference Center, during which 13 senators and other staff of the Upper House of Parliament were decorated with medals of different grades, amongst them the Secretary General of the Senate, Michel Meva Mebutu. The happy recipients expressed their joy after the decoration.
The President of the Republic recognized me, but finishing with this medal is a great honor for me.
Bouquets of flowers were handed over to the recipients by their family members.
The Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Kavai Yege Jibril, has denounced the alarming proportions of social media abuse and the constant power outage in cities across the country for the consolidation of the peace and the intensification of the fight against the coronavirus pandemic. Esther Kima has details of today's closing of the first ordinary session of the 2021 legislative year.
A full session completed with legislative prowess exhibited in the scrutiny and adoption of 9 bills. House Speaker Honorable Kavai Jibril hailed the lawmakers for their dexterity but denounced the irresponsible use of social media and urged government to take action.
The National Assembly here decries such reprehensible behavior by some Cameroonians. I would therefore like to appeal to all and sundry to exercise restraint and to show respect for the human person, irrespective of whether the person is dead or alive, sick or in good health.
The persistent interruption in electricity supply, which leaves inhabitants in distress, was castigated.
I am therefore appealing to Enio and Sonatrach to seek rapid and lasting solutions and to also urge the government to assume its responsibilities.
While he enjoined Cameroonians to consolidate and inculcate the spirit of living together, 2 members of the National Assembly were exceptionally decorated.
Thank you. Excellency the President of the Republic for this medal.
The deliberations ended with the legislators exhorted to educate their constituents on the ravaging coronavirus.
An open letter addressed to the United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken on the Anglophone crisis in the country was the high point of today's closing plenary sitting at the National Assembly. The members rejected what they call irrational reports of international organizations and outlined efforts made by the government to resolve the threats. Charles Ebune has the rest of that story.
A special communication on the stance of the National Assembly on the crisis in the predominantly English-speaking parts of Cameroon. The lawmakers say Cameroon is fit to address its security issues.
The government of Cameroon deployed in the armed services and other law and enforcement agencies to this region to restore peace and security. The combined consequences of these and many numerous other measures aimed at addressing the concerns expressed by the people of the Northwest and Southwest regions is progressively leading our country return to normalcy.
A clarification which the people's representatives believe is timely.
It is high time that some of those things are well explained to the world so that people don't give their own impressions and then decisions are made based on individuals' impressions.
We can still rebuild our Northwest and Southwest. We have been for 4 years out of school, for 4 years out of our homes.
It is time they stand behind the Cameroonian people to enable us to build a strong democracy, to rebuild the destroyed sections of our country.
The sponsorship from abroad should cease. The crisis is going to come to an end. We are managing the crisis and we are actually coming out of it.
By and large, regardless of their political leanings, they call on to the respect of Cameroon's sovereignty.
The former Director General of CRTV and also Minister Delegate to the Minister of Communication, Professor Edwin is dead. He died today at 77 years of age. Ebenezer Kanga reports on the life and death of the senior state functionary.
Professor Gervais Mendoza was born on the 25th of December 1944 in Kongmekak, a village in the south region of Cameroon. He became a lecturer in the Faculty of Letters of the University of Yaoundé in 1974 at less than 30 years. Then he obtained a doctorate degree in 1984 in Bordeaux, France, and went ahead to become a professor of French linguistics and stylistics For 17 years, that is, from 1988 to 2005, he was Director General of the Cameroon Radio Television CRTV and then Minister Delegate in the Ministry of Communication. Professor Gervais Mendozi was author of several books and theatrical publications, some of which were adapted for TV films and serials, the most famous being L'Étoile de Nudi. He was also a committed Catholic Christian who composed many songs with the choral group he founded called La Voix du Sénat. His most popular song remains Asimba. On the 12th of November 2014, he was placed under custody for embezzlement of state funds within the framework of Operation Sparrowhawk that fights embezzlement. Professor Gervais Mendozi is dead. Cameroon has lost a senior state functionary.
Princess Rabiatu Njoya of the Kingdom of Bamoun is no more. She died today at the age of 76. The author and producer of several pieces of theatre studied English and translation in the University of France and England. She has also worked as a researcher. The princess leaves behind a family and the Kingdom of Bamoun to mourn her. 5 priests and 6 deacons have been ordained today in Yaoundé in a concelebrated Pontifical High Mass officiated by the Apostolic Nuncio Julien Morat. The Pontifical High Mass marked the 50th anniversary of the Congregation of the Claretian Missionaries in Cameroon and attended by a high-power delegation of Catholic Christians across the country. The President of the Republic, Paul Biya, was represented by the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji. Amin Keng Edward reports.
The representative of the President of the Republic arrived at the ceremonial ground, flanked by some religious leaders, amongst whom was the Superior General of the congregation, Reverend Matthew Vatamartin, all the way from Rome. Paul Atanganji, Minister of Territorial Administration, was welcomed by the Central Regional Governor, Nasiri Paul Biya, before the solemn procession of the College of Priests to mark the start of the concelebrated Pontifical High Mass, officiated by the Apostolic Nuncio Julien Morat. In pomp and solemnity, the Christians from across the country celebrated the 50th anniversary of the apostolate of the Claretian missionaries in Cameroon since 1970 and the ordination of some priests and deacons of the church.
We are celebrating 50 years of the presence of the Claretian missionaries in Cameroon. But not only the 50 years, today we have the gift of receiving 6 deacons and 5 priests ordained for the church.
The chief celebrant, Julien Morat, prayed that God should accomplish in the new priests and deacons what he has started in their lives to serve with faith and commitment. Another high point of the concelebrated High Mass was the handing over of a peace plan to the Superior General, symbolizing Christ's message of peace to his disciples, and which peace remains the most sacrosanct value of President Paul Biya's leadership since his accession to the Supreme Magistracy of the state in 1982. While thanking the head of state, President Paul Biya, for facilitating the fruitful partnership between the state and the church and for investing in the promotion of human dignity, the man of God challenged the Christians to be peace crusaders in their respective communities. A photo session to immortalize the colorful event marked the end of the church service, heavily attended by dignitaries and religious associations like the Catholic Men and Women Association. Before leaving the ceremonial ground, the head of state's personal representative, Paul Atanganji, acknowledged the brilliant performance of the chorister of Shao Luanga Parish of Colbison, a perfect communion between President Paul Biya and the church in Cameroon.
The Claretian missionaries have therefore been working in Cameroon for the past 50 years. But what are their social outreach programs? Beatrice Guma attempts an answer.
They came fishing for followers of Christ 50 years ago, and 5 decades on, their harvest has been abundant. In 50 Claritine missionaries who first settled in Akono for missionary work in 1970 have taken the gospel to where others have abandoned, suffered kidnaps as they explored barren grounds to spread the gospel of Christ, and assisted the needy right to the crisis-affected areas in the northwest and southwest regions.
Where I work in Douala, we have a youth center. There in the youth center, we give information to young people in tailoring and carpentry and in farming. We give free water to those who are living around us. We also take care of the handicapped.
In the presence of the representative of the head of state, Paul Atanganji, at 50, the missionaries are counting their blessings in the social, humanitarian and religious fields. A bountiful harvest in a difficult terrain.
Where we went to give food to the people who were in the bushes in Munyenge, they were kidnapped. About five of our brothers were kidnapped.
50 years of palpable works in Cameroon, with the Claritine missionaries counting 17 parishes in 9 dioceses of Cameroon, amongst others.
Inhabitants of Cameroon's economic capital city Douala say poor electricity supply and customer care has strained their relationship with the power company in New. The situation has prompted Water and Energy Minister Gaston Elundu Esomba to call for concerted action to address grievances raised by consumers. Clarice Aretakang reports.
Le jour est passé. Ils sont venus hier couper. Ils m'ont dit de payer avec pénalité.
Disgruntled customers expressing their outrage at a situation they say has carried on for too long. Frequent power cuts, and to top it all, bills which they claim do not reflect reality. At one of the branches of the company overseeing electricity distribution in Douala,
il y a beaucoup de plaintes. Les populations, vos clients se plaignent énormément. Combien de requêtes moi je reçois au niveau du ministère, je les transfère chez le régulateur. Donc vous devrez faire un saut qualitatif.
On veut un bureau de requêtes et on veut voir un responsable, quelqu'un qui est assis là et qui ne gère que des questions de requêtes.
Obsolete material no longer serving their purpose and in need of repair. A breakdown in the power supply chain has put pressure on quality service delivery.
Monsieur le ministre, on a dit tantôt qu'on est en train de refaire la signalétique dans l'agence. On prend comme ça, on arrive dans le système, dans CMS, et tout le monde voit ces réclamations et on traite.
While ensuring that transmission lines are properly maintained, it is therefore necessary to keep other energy components functional.
Cameroon's Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General René-Claude Meka, has encouraged troops in the northwest to continue to protect people and goods while stopping terrorism. The Lieutenant General, who was at a security evaluation mission to the northwest region, was told that there has been a remarkable improvement, although some pockets of resistance exist. Winston Lepga reports from Bamenda.
Bui Division has been identified as the current hotbed of separatist activities in the northwest. And the visiting Chief of Defense Staff, Major General René-Claude Meka, has instructed that the men continue with the operation to completely free the area from the terror, as well as the rest of the northwest region. After scrutinizing reports from the 5th Joint Military Regions Command Post in this meeting held behind closed doors, Major General Meka said in many parts of the northwest, peace is picking up.
Pour le moment, nous n'avons pas de soucis majeurs à nous faire à ce sujet.
At the moment, we do not have any major concerns on the matter. The men are handling the situation appropriately and have devoted all their energies to their task.
Nous n'avons pas d'inquiétude particulière.
The Chief of the National Defense Staff leaves the northwest after encouraging the soldiers to stand firm in their mission to free the region from acts of terror.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
Tonight on our COVID-19 page, we talk about health professionals fighting against the pandemic COVID-19. Most of them, especially caregivers, have either tested positive or died. Let's join Bodin Sama at the Public Health Center with his guest, Dr. Eric Tandy. Bodin Sama, over.
Good evening. They have been playing an important role as far as taking care of COVID-19 patients ever since we had the outbreak of the coronavirus in Cameroon. They equally have been infected on several occasions. Let's find out from our guest, Dr. Eric Tandy. Good evening to you, doctor.
Yeah, good evening, buddy.
Explain to us, it has been a difficult process for most of these health professionals. How have they been coping, especially those directly taking care of these COVID-19 patients?
Yeah, but then it's worth mentioning here that health personnel or all health professionals who have been at the front line have been highly touched as far as this is concerned. And they continue to, because we've not ended the fight. It's still ongoing. On daily basis, health professionals receive different categories of patients suffering from COVID-19, as you can know, especially in our different specialized centers. And the fight is that more and more patients keep coming in on daily basis, and this has caused the burden of activity to be more higher. But yet, we are not relenting our effort. They keep on providing this assistance to all personnel at all times. But what we need to emphasize here is that the care for these patients, the population needs to come in to support these patients or these professionals in the field. How? By respecting barrier measures.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eric Tandy, for your availability. We will continue appreciating the key role they have been playing, they play, and will continue playing in this national fight to limit the spread of the coronavirus in Cameroon. Back to you.
Thanks very much, Bodin Sama. On to this telegram from the Presidency of the Republic. The President of the Republic of Cameroon in Yaoundé to Her Majesty Elizabeth II, Queen of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, in Buckingham Palace in London. It reads, Your Majesty, my wife and I were saddened to learn of the death of your husband, His Royal Highness Prince Philip Mountbatten, Duke of Edinburgh. I salute the memory of Prince Philip, who was always at your side to embody the monarchy and contribute to the success of your reign. His brilliant military career, his commitment to human values, and his distinguished role as president of the World Wildlife Fund will continue to inspire generations, including those in my own country, who have been marked by his fight for the protection of the environment. My wife and I wish to express our deepest sympathy to you, the royal family, the government, and the British nation at this time of sorrow. I associate with this the compassionate feelings of the friendly people of Cameroon. Please accept, Your Majesty, with my respect, the renewed assurance of my highest consideration. It is signed Paul Biya, President of the Republic of Cameroon. And so Prince Philip is dead. That's the husband of the Queen of England. The Duke of Edinburgh died this Friday morning at the age of 99. The longest-serving consort had returned to Windsor last March 16 after a month in hospital. Prince Philip supported his wife throughout an unprecedented time of social, economic, technological, political, and social change and family crisis. Yves also profiles the Duke of Edinburgh.
Britain mourns as tributes pour in for Prince Philip, who joins the heavenly train. For more than 6 decades, he stood by the Queen's side, the longest-serving British monarch. The couple raised 4 children, 8 grandchildren, and 10 great-grandchildren. 2 months shy of a centenary, the Duke of Edinburgh lived an incredible example of duty and servanthood to a nation. A member of the Greek and Danish royal families, he joined the British Royal Navy in 1939, aged 18, after being educated in France, Germany, and the United Kingdom. He was in the Navy throughout the Second World War, serving with distinction in the Mediterranean and Pacific fleets. after the war, King George VI granted him permission to marry Elizabeth. Before the engagement was officially announced in July 1947, he gave up his Greek and Danish royal titles. The couple moved to Malta, where he was posted, but he soon left active military service when Elizabeth became queen in 1952 and officially became a British prince in 1957. During the 70 years he spent carrying out royal duties, which he only stepped back from in 2017 at the age of 95.
The director in charge of the African Football Cup of Nations organization, along with his 2 assistants and head of the technical secretariat, have officially taken office. Michael Disake Mbarga and his team were enjoined by Sports and Physical Education Minister Professor Narcis Mwalekombi to work relentlessly for a successful tournament. Roman Kenye has the rest of that story.
4 men with rich experiences in sports management, 9 months to AFCON 2021. They are handed the responsibility to coordinate affairs related to the organization of the tournament. Sport Minister Professor Narcis Mwalekombi prescribed loyalty, patriotism, and personal sacrifice to newly commissioned.
We'll do it almost best. The advantage is that we're having at least an idea of what awaits us. I think I'm not new in the matter. We organized the female AFCON of 2016. By the grace of God, we also organized the CHAN. I think if we put a bit of energy, we're going to successfully organize the coming AFCON.
The Michel Disake team is expected to work hand in gloves with different site managers for a successful competition.
One of my assistants have been reappointed. I think with too much humility, we are going to do it. We'll ask people to make suggestions and implicate each and every one.
The newly installed were appointed last April 1 by the president of the local organizing committee of Kokan 2021.
Guinea has expressed its willingness to tap from Cameroon's experience in the organization of CHAN 2020 and AFCON 2021. The Guinean Minister of State, Minister of Sports, Sanusi Batama Sow, was speaking after an audience with Cameroon Sports Minister Professor Narcis Mwalekombi. Let's listen to the Guinean Minister of State.
We came to see the Minister of Sport of Cameroon in order to tap the rich experience in terms of organizing the African Cup of Nations. We understand that Cameroon has a lot of potentials when it comes to organizing such competitions, especially with the CHAN that ended lately in the country. Guinea will be organizing the 2025 edition of the AFCON. With this, we intend to learn how human resources are managed in such competitions. We are equally going to learn how to partition our work in terms of commissions. This is one of the highlights I discussed with Cameroon's Minister of Sport, Professor Narcis Mwalekombi, in this audience.
And that ends the 7:30 news on CRTV. But please join CRTV News at 9 p.m. today for a special program on the death of Professor Gervais Mendoze, Prince Philip, Princess Rabiatu Njoya, and Martin Aristide Okuda, a senior state functionary in Cameroon who also died. The program will be presented by Evelyn Owona-Isomba and Charles Ebune at 9 p.m. on CRTV News. The next news is coming up in exactly 32 minutes from now in the French language with Karine Olivia Bit. I am MOKI. Edwin KINDZEKA in Yaoundé. Thank you for watching.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.